Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Now, let's have a look at some of the stocks on the move today here in Europe. I'm Caroline Hepke and I'm joined by Bloomberg reporter Chloe Millay. Good to see you, Chloe. On defence stocks, up after President Trump has talked about NATO members should shoot down Russian planes that breach their airspace. So, quite combative stance when it comes to any incursions. Which names are moving in particular?
Well, all of them, really. So Rheinmetall obviously is the biggest name, the most recognizable one, and it was up this morning. But we have really got the entirety of the European defense sector moving higher. Leonardo in Italy, for example, Saab in the Nordics, Thales in France, BAE in the UK, and then also other names that are related to that defense sector without being a directly defense company, like companies like MTU Aero, for example, that makes actually engines for that sector. And that is, as you say, because of those remarks from Trump saying that NATO nations should shoot down those Russian jets that violate their airspace. There has been a series of incidents recently in which Russian aircraft have crossed into the airspace of NATO allies, and that has been worrying the leaders of some of the smaller Eastern European nations like Latvia, for example. So Latvia's president called yesterday for a show of force from NATO in response to those Russian incursions. Another thing that Trump said is that Ukraine should be able to fight back and win back all of its territory in its original form, which is a much more sympathetic and optimistic statement on Ukraine's chances of winning than Trump has said before. So that is also a shift in narrative. So those two remarks have really driven those defense names higher this morning. And, this is a sector that does well when tensions are high, and this is shown again today.
Yeah, Saab is the top performer currently on the European market. You've also got Leonardo and Kinetic in their defence names, top 10 best performers. Mm-hmm. Turning to semiconductors next, there's been lots of news on this. In terms of semiconductors erasing earlier losses. Why is that?
So we have some semiconductor companies this morning doing quite well. So not major moves, not the kind of moves that we've seen in those defense names, but still moving higher. So BE Semiconductor, for example, and ASML were in positive territory today, and that is because they were reacting to a very positive outlook for Micron technology over in the US. So Micron makes computer memory chips, and it provided a very upbeat outlook last night. It said that the AI rush, the AI boom was really a major benefit for them. And so that is translating into a boost for some of those semiconductor equipment makers that are suppliers to Micron. So that includes, for example, as I mentioned, BE Semi and ASML. This is quite good news because just yesterday we had actually a negative news flow for that sector, where we had ASM International cutting its outlook for the second half of the year due to weaker than expected demand. So there seems to be some contradictory trends happening in that semiconductor market that is sending the shares kind of up and down depending on the day. So we'll have a look at what the third quarter earnings season says about that outlook for all of those companies.
Okay, so that's semiconductors. And to travel on the beach. How did their summer look? What are they expecting?
So On the Beach is a provider of package holidays for those who've not used it before. I haven't. But it is having a quite tough time this morning. The shares really plummeted, and that is because their profit guidance missed estimates. It disappointed investors. So it said that it actually had a solid summer this summer with bookings ahead of last year, and then also ahead of that wider package holiday market. It also said that winter bookings were tracking ahead, so everything is fine there. But where things start to get a little bit tougher for them is actually for next summer. So it noted a trend towards later bookings, which was already mentioned by Jet2. They mentioned that people just go and buy their tickets more and more last minute, and that is obviously having an impact on that visibility for those companies. And it really seems to reflect that kind of lack of consumer confidence that doesn't seem to be getting any better.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.